Hey, welcome back to my channel. Good to see you here. Thanks for stopping by. I wanted to make this quick video just to cover a couple topics. I had a video request from one of my viewers, Corey LeBlanc. Thank you, Corey, for asking me to do this video. So basically what it is how did I get into competing in Strongman? And how can anybody else who is interested, who has never competed in strongman or strong woman, get involved? So we're going to touch on that. I'll tell you my story, how I got involved at 60 years old, and the successes that I've had doing that. We'll get into that, so please stay tuned. Okay. So my story of how I got involved with Strongman goes back, I guess, to 2023. Actually going back all the way to 2019 and before. So what happened with me is I used to be in jobs that were fairly physical all my life. I had been doing everything from working in heavy, sawmills and meat packing plants. And my very first job was a cowboy on a ranch with 350 head of cattle. And I was doing all these physical jobs and pretty well keep it in shape. But as I got older and into a different career, I got into a situation where I became more involved in an office environment. And from having that, I started to gain weight. I started to eat, eat more or eat the same, but I wasn't being physical. So I noticed I started having a little bit of health issues, not being as physically fit as I used to be, and it started to bother me a little bit. So what I ended up doing was going to the gym around probably 2019. Now, going back to the 1980s, I had worked out, 1986, I was going to Gold's Gym here in Canada. And then I met a girl, we ended up getting married and whatnot, and so life happened. So I actually stopped working out for 30 years. But in 2019, I decided that the best way to lose body fat was to gain muscle tissue. So I started working out at the local gym here, and I wasn't that strong. I could bench press maybe 170 pounds. I think my deadlift was 225, 250 at the most. And not for that was like a 1 rep max. So, and it wasn't that good. But then as I started to exercise more and train more, I started to get a little stronger. And on my own, without a coach or anything, I got to the point where I could deadlift pretty good. I got to the point, it was in 2020, November 2021, I deadlifted 475 pounds. And I was getting much stronger. And then I got hit with COVID actually, and got quite sick. And well, truth be told, I almost died. I was in the hospital for 13 days, 10 days in the ICU, and I lost about 32 pounds. But thankfully, because I had been doing some exercising and building muscle tissue, I was able to get out of bed after 13 days and still walk, where many folks who didn't exercise at all had lost so much weight, muscle tissue, that they couldn't walk. They had to relearn how to walk and do rehab. So I kept going back to the gym. I was actually training when I had an oxygen bottle, oxygen mask attached to me. And I was down in my basement and exercising and whatnot. And the gym that I was going to was fairly good, but I started taking an interest in watching Strongman on TV and YouTube videos and whatnot. And I noticed that there was Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall and Thor, Bjornsson. all these big strongmen. So it was really quite interesting, but I had never had a clue that I would be able to try out some of those implements, but I kind of had a desire to. But the gym that I was working out at didn't have anything. You just had your regular barbells and dumbbells and machines. So one day, back in April of 2023, I went back to a gym that I had gone to before, and lo and behold, I noticed that it had Atlas stones and it had a yoke. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to move gyms and start attending that gym. And then I discovered that they had what they call Strongman Sundays. So every Sunday at 11 a.m., they had an area where people could come and try out these different implements. Sandbags and the yoke, farmer's holds for the farmer's carry to test your grip strength, and the log and the axle and all the different things. So I started going, and then that was April of 2023. And then I met a woman there that was, she was 50 years old. Her name is Jen. And she had been doing strongman competitions. And she was what they call a master. Now, normally when you're a master, once you hit 40 years of age, you can become a master. And so at that time, even if you were 50 or 55 years old, you were still a master, but you were now 55 years old competing with people that were 40 who had been maybe training for 10 years and competing, so they were pretty strong. So it's pretty hard when you're 50 years old to compete with somebody who's 40 and do well, unless you're, unless you've been training for many years and competing yourself and you're like Mark Felix or someone. So I decided to try and compete because she said, hey, go ahead, just train or compete as a novice, and you'll get lumped in with a bunch of people that have never competed before. They're just your average person on the street who has maybe trained for these events for the last couple of months, and that's it. So I did that. My first competition was at the end of May of 2023. It was called Capital City Showdown, and out of, I guess, maybe 10, 12 people, I think I came in third from the last. But I was against some young guys and young, strong folks, and I was already 60 years old at this time. But the deadlift wasn't that heavy. It was, I think, 330 pounds. I think I got 6 reps. And we had to do an overhead axle press. So it was 155 pounds. You pick it up, you press it, and then you throw it down, and then you run over to a beer keg. The beer keg was 120 pounds, and you got to pick that up and press it over your head and go back and forth as many reps as possible in 60 seconds. So I got 4 reps, 2 with the axle and 2 with the keg, which is not great. There was guys getting 7, 8 reps because their conditioning was much better. But I liked it. I did that, and it was 6 events, and I did okay. So then there was other events as well, or other competitions as well. So I started entering different competitions as a novice and did fairly well for myself. Got stronger, kept training, hired a coach, and did okay. And then in December of 2023, I ended up competing as well, and came in first and got my first medal. So this one here says Asgardian Strength Classic 2023 Heavyweight Men's 50 Plus Masters. So I'm happy that I got that. I felt like I had arrived. So that was that story. Then 2024 rolls around, and we had more competitions. I kept getting stronger, kept training with my coach, and entering more competitions. Then there was a qualifier. And the qualifier allowed me to win this, which is the Masters, it's called the Medal Games, Masters 50 Plus first place. So this was a qualifier. And then to get this one, then you had to move on to what they call provincials, which would be like the states would be the state classic or whatever. I ended up winning that one and become Alberta's strongest amateur 2024, awarded first place again, Masters 50 plus. I actually have two of these. The other one is 40 plus because the gentleman who was Masters who had turned 40 got injured and couldn't compete. So I ended up getting his as well. So I called them the Twin Towers. So I got that. Then I allowed me to go on to Nationals, which was in Moncton, New Brunswick in November or October of this year, and I came in third. So I came in third. So like I say, I'm technically Canada's third strongest Masters 50 plus, which sounds impressive, but it only means there was only 3 guys competing. So I came in last. But it sounds good. It's good for my ego. So I kept competing. I've been invited to compete in 2025 in May at the World Strength Games in St. George, Utah. I plan to go. That's at the end of May. The nice thing about this event is we get to choose our own weights. Up on the board here, I guess you can't see it, but I have everything listed out here. So there's going to be log press, farmer's walk, deadlift, and so forth. It's over 2 days. Now I get to choose my own weights, so I'll probably choose a 185-pound log. I have gotten 2 reps before at 185. The most I've ever pressed with the log was 190, and that was a struggle. So I'm going to have to start training seriously. If I do go, probably middle of March, get my shoulder strength up, shoulders and triceps and whatnot, but we'll see. I intend to go make a little holiday of it. St. George, Utah. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. So that's my story. I haven't been training that much right now because I'm not competing. So I'm just trying to keep some strength up. But I'm going to have to hit it hard here again if I do compete this year in 2025. So that's my story of how I got into Strongman. And I'm 62 years old now. But, having said that, the one in Utah, the World Strength Games, is I'm going to be competing in 60 plus Masters. And currently there's only one other gentleman from the United States. I'll be representing Canada. He's representing the United States. So I should go to represent Canada, but we shall see. So this brings me to answer the question, how can you get started in strongman or strong woman competitions if you're interested in that? Well, there's quite a few different ways of doing that. First of all, you have to have access to implements and equipment to try and get strong. Now, the nice thing about strongman is there's different weight categories, and then situations like myself, age categories. So if you're, they call it U80, U90, U105, U120, open, and then masters. So U105 means under 105 kilograms, which is about 231 pounds. So if you're under 231 pounds, but over U90, which is I think about 198 pounds, then you'd fall into that category. But then you have to make sure that you maintain that weight. So if you're 231 pounds when you sign up, but then you gain 5 pounds, now you're going to be bumped up into the 120, U120, and the weights get heavier. So the heavier you are, the heavier the weights are. So that could be a difference between a 500-pound deadlift and a 600-pound deadlift, for instance. So right now, I'm only capable of about 440-pound deadlift for 1 rep. With some training, I could probably get up to 450 again for 1 or 2 reps, but that's pushing it. Now, there's different kinds of deadlifts, right? There's the There's a deadlift bar, the power bar, there's a regular bar, there's elevated or block pulls, there's a silver dollar deadlift. For instance, the silver dollar deadlift, I did 14 reps at 405 pounds. But the weights are so far out, and the bar is so flexible that you pull 6 inches before you actually pull the weight off the ground. So there's different variations. So get access to a gym, or at least equipment that you can train to get strong. You want to be strong in your overhead presses, in your deadlifts. We don't do bench press. Bench press doesn't really come into play for strongman, but incline presses do. So if you're leaning back and you're doing some incline presses, that will translate over to overhead presses, because sometimes you have to arch back to get that weight up, whether it's a log or an axle. So get strong in the compound exercises, and get strong with that. Now, in most cities in Canada, the US, the UK, wherever you're watching this, even Australia, I've had some viewers from Australia. You can search your city for gyms, because most gyms are just your regular commercial gym, and they won't have a lot of the equipment that you might need if you want to train specifically on certain events. But there are gyms that will have strongman implements, where they might have some Atlas stones, they may have a log or a yoke, that type of thing. So you need to get strong on all this stuff. You need to have a strong core. Now, I was training 5 days a week when I'm prepping for a competition. So it can get pretty time consuming. So you got to allow that. So if you're working a physical job in construction or something all day, and then trying to go to the gym in the evening and train hard for a competition, man, that's hard, but it can be done. It's a lot of fun. And like I say, if you're a male who weighs maybe 180 pounds, there's competitions for you. If you're a woman that weighs maybe 100 pounds, there are competitions available for you. And all the way up the line. If you're a woman who weighs 300 plus pounds, they have the master, or they have the open class. If you're a male that weighs 350 pounds, they have open classes for that as well. Mind you, the weights are going to be heavier, because you might have a lot of body fat, and so the weights are heavier, even though a lot of that weight is not muscle, it's maybe body fat, but it works out. All you need is 6 to 8 weeks of training, once you've already got your base, to train for specific exercises or events. Some events are difficult to train for. For instance, we had one that was called the Conan's wheel, and where I had to pick up 350 pounds in a crook of my elbows and walk around a circle. To train for that, I used a yoke, which is I picked up 300 pounds in a yoke and walked with it, and then that worked. I did pretty good with that. I went around a complete circle plus a little bit, so 116 feet with 350 pounds. It's covered in some of my other videos. If you look at some of my shorts, you can see some of that there as well. So anyway, like I say, if you are interested in getting involved in strongman and getting strong and having fun, it's a great sport to get involved in. I do like powerlifting, but powerlifting is basically just your three lifts: your squat, your deadlift, and your bench press, and it's pretty strict. And it's not boring, but it's the same thing all the time. Olympic lifting is good. You can get some good technique, and you can lift some heavy weights overhead. But if you come from a powerlifting background and you get into strongman, because there's so many different events, that it's a lot more fun, I think. And if you come from that background in powerlifting, you've got a big advantage, because you've got that strength. So I would encourage you to get on some YouTube videos, look at some of the strongman competitions out there, amateur-wise, and also search online for, number one, gyms in your area that you can use, and also competitions. Now, you might have to travel 3 hours. I live in Edmonton, which is a city of over 1 million people. But sometimes our competitions are in Calgary or Fort McMurray. Calgary's 3 hours away. Fort McMurray is 4.5 hours away. We've got competitions. And then, of course, I had to fly to Moncton, New Brunswick, which is clear across Canada. But I will say that competing in strongman has been really good and a blessing to me, because I've met so many wonderful people. I've been able to travel that I would never go places otherwise. I would never even think to go to these places. And now I get to talk to you folks about this as well. So this t-shirt that I'm wearing right now, let me just lower the camera a little bit so you can see. This was a competition that I went to in, I guess it was August of 2024, this year. It was an all open class, so it doesn't matter how much you weighed. If you were competing against guys. So I was competing against pro athletes. I came in dead last in my division. Well, there was no division. It was just all the same thing. But I managed to pull a 12,000-pound dump truck, a single axle dump truck for 61 feet. So that's when you've got your feet anchored in and you're pulling with a rope. I was able to pull this truck 61 feet. So I was able to pick up a 220-pound Atlas stone and get it up and place it on a 62-inch platform. The 250-pound Atlas stone I picked up, but I just couldn't get it up high enough, and then I ran out of time. The other nice thing about strongman is we don't really work that hard. Strongman competitions are a way for you to demonstrate your strength. It's not about building strength. You've already built your strength in the gym. So, for instance, I did some things that I never thought I could do, and most events are only 60 seconds. So if there's 5 events in a 7-hour day, you only actually work for 5 minutes out of the 7 or 8 hour day, depending on how many competitors there are. So it's the guys who volunteer. If you're volunteering to work at a strongman competition, those are the folks that have to work hard. I volunteered twice, and man, that is hard work, because now you're moving 200-pound sandbags or 250-pound sandbags and doing things and moving weights around all day long. So I see my videos already at 22 minutes or more, actually. So I will let you go now, but I hope this answers some questions, and I hope you have a great day. If you like this kind of material or content, please like, subscribe, ring that little notification bell so that you are informed or notified when I make new videos. I try to cover different topics here and there. And if you have any video requests of any kind, just let me know. I will definitely put together some videos on different things. So I thank you once again. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.